You didn't wake up and decide to check your phone. Your hand moved before your mind caught up. And that matters more than you think. You haven't even stood up yet. Your eyes are still adjusting. Your body is heavy, but somehow your phone is already in your hand. No plan, no reason, just a reflex. Most people think this moment is harmless. They tell themselves, I'm just checking the time. Or, I'm just seeing if there's anything important. But that's not what's happening. Because if it were about importance, you would have decided first. And you didn't. Here's the uncomfortable truth. That first phone check of the day isn't a choice. It's a response. And it starts long before the morning. Think about the exact sequence. You wake up. There's a tiny gap, just a second, where nothing is happening. No input, no stimulation, just awareness. That gap feels small, but your brain hates it. Not because it's dangerous, but because it's empty. Over time, your brain learned something very specific. Silence feels uncomfortable. Stillness feels uncertain. So the moment you wake up, before a thought even forms, your brain reaches for the fastest way to fill that gap. Your phone. Not because you're addicted, not because you lack discipline, but because your brain was trained to associate waking up with immediate stimulation. The phone is just the tool. Notice something important. When you pick up your phone in the morning, you're not looking for one specific thing. You're not thinking, I need information. You're scanning, scrolling, opening apps without intention. That's because the goal isn't content. The goal is relief. Relief from the moment where nothing is happening yet. Your brain doesn't want answers. It wants activation. That's why even when there are no notifications, you still check. That's why even when nothing interesting is there, you still scroll. And that's why sometimes you unlock your phone, stare at the screen, and forget why you picked it up in the first place. Because the action isn't driven by logic, it's driven by conditioning. Over time, your brain learned a simple pattern. Wake up, reach, stimulate, feel normal. That pattern now runs automatically. What makes this more powerful is when it happens. The first few minutes after you wake up are when your brain is most suggestible. Not focused, not analytical, not defended. You're half aware, half reactive. That's the worst possible state to introduce a habit loop. Because whatever you do first sets the tone. If the first thing your brain learns each day is, the moment I'm conscious, I need external input, then your baseline becomes dependency. Not dependency on the phone itself, dependency on not being alone with your own awareness. Here's where most people misunderstand the problem. They think the issue is time spent on the phone, or social media, or content quality. But the real issue is timing. That first check happens before intention, before direction, before control. So your brain starts the day in reaction mode, not decision mode. And once that mode is set, it's harder to break later. Have you noticed this? On mornings when you check your phone immediately, the day feels slightly rushed, scattered, reactive. But on the rare mornings when you don't, even if nothing else changes, there's a strange sense of calm. That isn't a coincidence. That's the difference between starting the day from input and starting the day from presence. Your phone didn't become the first thing you check by accident. Every time you checked it in bed, every time you scrolled to wake yourself up, every time you used it to avoid that quiet moment, your brain was paying attention. And now it runs the program for you, automatically. Here's the part most people don't like to hear. The more consistently you start your day this way, the less tolerance you develop for silence, delay, or boredom throughout the rest of the day. Your brain becomes impatient faster, restless quicker, easier to pull out of focus. Not because you're weak, but because you trained it to expect stimulation on demand, starting from the very first second of consciousness. And once you notice this pattern, you can't unsee it. Tomorrow morning there will be a moment, a small one, right after you wake up. Your phone will be there. Your hand will know exactly where it is. And for the first time, you'll realize something unsettling. The urge didn't come from you thinking. It came from you waking up. That's how deep this goes. And once you see it, that moment will never feel the same again.